Watching Warcraft Direct the other day, you guys remember me saying this. 11.1 was announced and no Tinkers were announced. And I said, well, looks like we're not getting Tinkers because this would be the time to do it. If we're not getting Tinkers when we go to Undermined, when the hell is it going to happen? Where are we going to liberate the gnomes from the leper gnomes and stuff? And then it's going to I don't know. The Tinker class has been a call out for a long time. A lot of people want it. A lot of people have asked for it. There's plenty of ways to do it. They can be healers, right, with the healing bots. They can be damage, you know, with their little bots that shoot. Or they could be tanks in their giant mech suits, as we saw a long time ago back in the BFA, launch cinematics. So it's possible. They fit the lore, but they've never been a playable class. Will they be playable in 11.1.5? Let's see what Marcellian has to say.
Just thinking about the whole theme of it with goblins, and goblins being like very intelligent and creative creatures, basically. Sure. They have high technology and all of that. Do you think the tier set bonuses we're going to have are going to be translated into that?
Oh, for sure.
But possibly getting us finally into some more, dare I say, complex tier set bonuses?
Well, we know that they
That's interesting.
Intentionally make the season 1 tier sets simpler just to get people accustomed to the new things.
Yeah, but I didn't feel like back in Dragonflight. I didn't feel like season 2 tier sets were that much.
No, but they were definitely more complex than season 1.
Do we want more complex? Let's put it like this. So if we're gonna have this team of like goblins and explosions and inventions and all types of techie stuff, right? Being into the team of that, do we want more complex tier sets? Like when we're talking about complex tier sets, we're thinking about altering rotations.
I don't think complex is the right word. Maybe interesting is a better word.
Interesting.
Because,
all right.
Because we can take a good example at random tier sets that we have.
Complex, I don't know what you would consider like a complex tier set interaction. Maybe something that triggers something else. So like a tier set bonus where doing a certain ability gives you a window to do more DPS using another ability. Like that's an interplay of complexity rather than just, well, you got your 4 sets, so you get, 300% verse or something like that. So I guess that's what he's talking about. What that has to do with Tinkers, I don't know. Maybe it prepares people for what a Tinker would play like. I have no idea.
We have right now where they just give you 5% more crit and 10% more damage, and then you have specs like Frost Death Knight that says when you consume runic power you get 10% more strength. That's way cooler than just, oh, your ability does 20% more damage, right? So clearly we can make them more interesting, and that is interesting in and of itself because I can go on a limb and say that for Frost Death Knight that kind of dictates the kind of build you want, and probably that's why Breath of Syndragosa is so much better because it probably plays more into it. Meaning that we just want interesting stuff, not necessarily complex stuff that can, I kind of want to play this part of my...
That's true. Complex doesn't mean good. That's for sure. Nobody... If somebody is playing a spec with like 3 buttons, but the 3-button interplay is a lot of fun because of how it triggers and how you click and how you time things, that's far more exciting than somebody who's playing a spec with a 12-button rotation or 13, 14-button rotation, but they're doing the same amount of DPS. I don't think the guy with the 12 buttons is having more fun. In fact, he's probably more stressed out and having less fun. Yeah, so the complexity doesn't mean fun. What means fun is like good, I don't know what it is, like a good interplay, good triggering events. It's like that little dopamine hit. Like when you get a headshot in Overwatch and you get that little beep skull, that's a dopamine hit right there. Same with, abilities in WoW. When you get the, that perfectly triggered moment where something crits at the perfect time and you get that second hit, that's the dopamine hit that you're looking for with the interplay between gear and everything else.
Spec and the tier set kind of...
I want to pew pew,
like actually consuming runic power. For sure.
Well, if you play Obliteration, man, you don't care about runic power.
No. Maybe it's something in regards to the wording as well. Personally, I would like to have something that, if you're going to go into Undermine, please... from the looks of the tier sets to the actual bonuses, have it be translatable into that.
You're gonna be a Death Knight with rockets and little sonars on your head tweaking around.
Yeah, man, I wouldn't mind.
That's such a kinky looking Death Knight set. I don't know if I'd be into that. I mean, it might. I guess because it's on a goblin, I'm not into it. What is this, a football? This guy's ready for football. Yeah, a warrior set? What the hell is that? Some of these look interesting. I wonder what the tier sets are going to look like. I didn't even think about this, actually, but they are probably going to take on a goblin look, right? It's going to be completely different from what we currently have. These could be some interesting looking tier sets, tinkery looking tier sets.
Having all of my bugs be on little rockets and
That's
stuff.
a no-touchy
Attached
suit.
rockets go.
That would be cool.
That is if I'm going to main Unholy in 11.1 as well. Who knows, right? It's a different story altogether. But I would love for, again, if they're going to translate into the team of goblins and all of that, to have it, at least flavorish in the actual mechanics of the tier set bonuses, right? I'm pretty sure they're going to look awesome because like most of the designs are okay. Some of them are really bad from the past, but in terms of like the design,
Design is definitely going to be themed. I'm not so sure that the effects will be themed towards goblins because I don't think we've had that at any point in time in the past.
Theming the abilities to goblins would be an interesting take. We don't always get well-themed tier set combination abilities based on whatever they're from. But yes, the look of it, the aesthetic of it, I'm saying it's going to be goblin. We're going to have a steampunk. It's going to be all steampunk armor going forward for this patch.
Didn't really give you Aberrus theme procs?
Well, interesting, yeah.
So for instance,
this is Aberrus is different. Aberrus is different because Aberrus is like a facility. It's you're going now into a whole culture, right? It's very different than Aberrus. Okay, this is a whole culture where it makes sense to have that technology, that creativity, that intelligence baked into the gear you're getting, because you're going to the liberation of Undermine, right? You're going into the meat of it, where Gallywix is like controlling everybody. So the gear you get from that, the Mother Lode, the other dungeon, the floodgates, right?
Yeah.
So it would make sense, like even fantasy-wise, if you're gonna get some bonuses, to have these mechanical, interesting things.
I think these bonuses will not be tier sets, and I think they will be the kind of enchants that we've had in Amir Drasil, where you remember you enchanted your headpiece with the little flame item thing. That was very in tune with Amir Drasil. That just procced flame damage and it activated a bunch of.
I agree. That's
right.
okay, but it didn't feel enough.
No, obviously, but
it's not enough. Yeah, a little enchant that makes you feel goblin-y. That's not enough. That's not what people are looking for. If we're gonna have like legitimate tier set bonuses that fit the theme and aesthetic of where they came from, we're expecting more. Like he said, I don't know, missiles shooting out when something procs properly, axes like coming out and hitting. Maybe if you're a tank, like your thing procs and like a big arm comes out and a shield falls in front of you. Whatever it is, these are pretty complex animations I'm talking about. Probably won't happen. But if they really wanted to theme tier set bonuses to that, that would be really cool. Like looking back at prior raids and what they could have been had they done things like this, rather than just, you got a 4 set, here's a verse bonus. There are some really cool missed opportunities there with some of those tier set bonuses.
They could put, rocket enchants on your shoulders every now and again when
Bobby
you proc your consumer or your cooldowns. You shoot rockets at your enemies. That could be a thing. I will probably lean more towards them having little enchanty things / I hope it's not embellishments, but rather just enchantments in some way than actual tier sets. Because if you're a warrior, when you rampage, do you drop grenades? Where do you drop them from? Your butt?
No, I can see some sort of like electricity thing going on. Not necessarily, so you don't have to go all bombastic. It's not, goblins are not all about explosions and rockets, man.
True.
But that is
like,
what goblins are.
You can have like some sort of electricity effect, add some little damage, like visually beat that and...
Yeah, like it empowers your thunderclap more, like if you have the 4 set, but like the way it does that is some kind of like Tesla-like antenna pops out, boom, empowered thunderclap. Yeah, he's right. It doesn't have to be something crazy or complicated, crazy graphics, animations, or anything like that. But yeah, something like that does fit it more. Mega Zappy, yeah, something cool like that.
All sorts of, like, when you talk about goblin and gnome ingenuity, you think about all days mechanical, electrical stuff that is going on.
Yeah, sometimes can zap you because we're talking about goblins.
Yeah, kiss mechanics, so for sure. But what about that Tinker class, man?
Dude, I was so coked up yesterday.
I still believe that's gonna come in 0.5. I think that's gonna come. They haven't put it anywhere because they want to like still drop it like.
Has Blizzard ever released a new class in a 0.5? I don't think so. We've gotten new specs for new classes. We saw that with the Drakthir, right? They got a new spec added to their repertoire, their specs. What's it called? In the middle of an expansion. But have we ever had a new class introduced in the middle of an expansion? No, but they've been shaking things up lately. True. That is true. We've gotten pre-patch classes, right? We've gotten, like, we did get Demon Hunters in pre-patch content, but I don't think we've ever seen a class released mid-cycle, because the only thing with that is the balancing that's involved, right? The balancing that's involved. And then how do you retroactively fix the expansion? Because say somebody makes the class, unless you only make it where they're cap level when they make it. But say somebody makes the class and they go back to the beginning of the expansion to do the first raid. There technically is no gear. There's no tier set for them there. There's nothing really for them to get. Now, that applies to Dragthier who want to go back prior to their release, or same with Death Knights. But we're in the expansion already. So somebody who levels through the expansion with a Tinker would not have anything to be gotten from Season 1, which is an interesting thing. See, he's not a DK anymore. I'm a DK. What are you talking about? I think they will bring it out after Undermined. I think if they're ever going to do it, it's going to happen now. It's going to happen in this 11.1 patch cycle, whether it's 1.7 or 1.5. If it's ever going to happen, it has to happen now.
Augmentation.
So
it would be the same path as Dragonflight.
It would be. And dude, I really think that there are a lot of cards set up for this to happen, because if you think about it, Dragonflight had big turnarounds with the Mythic Plus being revamped for the second season, where we lost the seasonal affix. That was a big thing for Mythic Plus back then. On top of the class reworks, we've had augmentation being dumped on us on 10.1.5. So we've had big content swings in the middle of the expansion that revitalized the game in some way, which haven't been announced yet. Augmentation wasn't announced back then either. And you would think that if they would ever consider a Tinker class, it would have to be now. Like when
This is the perfect time.
It is the perfect time.
So it would make sense to be halfway, because they could just play off.
No hints from data mining either yet. Probably not happening. Would be cool though. They've snuck things past us on data mining before. They have. They've gotten things past us where, we didn't see this coming. All of a sudden, there's this whole... I mean, Plunderstorm was never data mined. We saw, like, pirate shit, but we never saw, enough to know, this is going to be Plunderstorm. I like surprises. Yeah, I do. I do, too. So I actually hope that if they do get it implemented, it doesn't get data mined. I want to see it just all of a sudden, like, holy shit, Tinkers are coming into the game out of nowhere. Rather than we get it data mined and we start looking into it. It's great for my YouTube channel if it gets data mined, but I don't want that. I'd rather just be excited and see it in the game. I don't give a shit if it's going to give me views or not. I just like to have fun. And they already have mock-up suits in the game. They do. They literally, like, all the mounts that we got recently for the first season and everything, like those mech suits that we mount up in, that is a Tinker tanking class. It's perfect. It's already set up for them. They can do that. And then even, what's it called? In the dungeons that we've run before, what's the one that we're getting in the new season? The previous one. Motherlode? Right? There are mech bots in that dungeon that fit the DPS and healing specs perfectly already. Like, these assets are already in the game, so they don't have to add anything to the game. And in terms of, like, in-game graphical assets to get the Tinker class up and rolling, all that's already in there. So those things don't need to be, they can hide that from us. It doesn't have to be data mined. The one thing that's going to have to be data mined is like, okay, well, it's a new class in the selection screen, okay, and then statistics start getting added in, abilities that we don't recognize get added in. That stuff will start to hint us at, are these guys coming?
Off the same augmentation card, which would make so much sense. So now that
gonna be a pirate
we've
patch,
grown accustomed, maybe even liberated Undermine, now the goblins are sharing their tech with you and they're teaching people how to be Tinkers, right? Hopefully only
the lore
for tiny races, because that's hilarious as fuck. But because if you put,
it has to be. If they do Tinkers, it can only be goblins and gnomes. I hope that they limit it to that. I know some people are going to be mad when I say, like, I want to be a Tinker, but I don't want to play. I just think I know the lore is kind of broken when it comes to class selection. We got Torn Rogues out there, but I kind of want this one to be like, it's gnomes or it's goblins. Come on. Seriously, you're going to put a troll in a mech suit? That doesn't make any sense aesthetically in any way. That's pretty racist, man. Well, it's... It has to be this way. It just has to be.
You remember Gazlo from Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah, man. Now, all I think about is him being in WoW.
Oh my god!
Like those abilities.
They make that and put a mech suit on it.
Oh my god!
On a goblin, it's hilarious because and a gnome and a Vulpera and a mecha gnome, right? Because then we have two races for.
No Vulpera. No Vulpera. We don't need more people playing Vulpera in this game, please. Keep it gnomes and goblins. Thank you.
Faction that can do the little thing.
It's more like cultural appropriation.
That's a raid boss, boy. That's a little bit too much, man. Look at the Tauren. Hey, ruggeds.
No. Fuck that. No.
But Tinker is a good opportunity to add so much freshness.
Whoa. There's actually a lot, Artemis, there's a lot of lore behind Tauren Paladins. Hold on. There is a ton of lore behind Tauren Paladins. They actually make sense. There's a lot of that. Same with even Blood Elf Paladins. Their light and the way they've deified the light is different, and there's lore behind that. And that's prove me wrong. There's literal lore behind how the Tauren interact with the light. I have to dig back into it, but I know it has to do with like Anshe and all this other stuff and the sun god and things like that. They do worship the light. So that's okay, Rat Lord, yeah. But goblins and gnomes are the tinkers of the game. They are the only ones that should be able to be these classes.
To WoW classes, we can have
Valpera are like desert foxes. They have no means of tinkering. The only thing that relates them to tinkering is that they're tiny. No, Valpera should have nothing to do with tinker classes.
It can be a male class that people have been wanting for a long time. It can be the male tank that we've never
Sunwalker
gotten.
Paladins,
the
right up there.
We had Mechatork in BFA, which people have been asking for Tinker since Warcraft 3 because it's an actual hero in Warcraft 3. And then we get the Mechatork boss in BFA. He's like,
yeah, it's here. You made it. You have assets for it. You have systems.
Don't forget, you also see Mechatork in the cinematic, right? In the invasion of the Broken Isles. He's there being a tank in a mech suit. You remember when he's like looking and talking to Varian and his robot's just blasting shit and he's pressing the buttons and it's shooting everything? That's literally what people want out of this class.
Systems for it. Just put it on our classes. It's the best time to get it. Now, I thought obviously they're going to announce it on 11.1, right? They didn't. And there's no information regarding 11.1.5. But if they stick to their cadence, 11.1.5 would be the time where they drop this. And if you remember, in Dragonflight, prior to them dropping augmentation, there was a couple of hints in the story. We had a little bit of like data mining going on, and we speculated that it's going to be a tank spec. Yeah,
we thought it was going to be a Black Dragon
Then
class,
a leak happened right before a leak happened that everybody says, yeah, it's going to be the Augmentor and all of that. So we did have a couple of hints prior to them dropping it. I think it was in some sort of like 0.7 patch, something along those lines. So we still have clues yet to be seen, okay? Sure. We have to like be very wary, but I know for sure, like we didn't know, but we had speculation before they dropped it. We just didn't know it was an augmentation. We thought it was a tank.
What's important is that the community of World of Warcraft players unites right now and puts a lot of pressure on Blizzard to make this happen. And the way you can do that is by liking the stream on YouTube or the video if you're watching it on YouTube right now. To make it bigger and get more people's like, oh, let's make this happen. I'm pretty sure that if they don't have a plan, they're not gonna make it. But I mean, it would be such a good opportunity to do it.
What better time to mess up the class balance even more? Add one more class.
Think about it.
Oh no, I just thought about this. He's right though. If they add Tinkers, all right, you're probably going to have a tanking, healing, and DPS spec for them. And then you're going to have 3 hero talent specs. Oh god. This is why I said adding hero talents to the game complicates shit so much. So now they're going to need to have hero talents for them and balance all that out along with everything else that's currently being balanced. Nice. Would I rather them do it than not? Yeah, shit, do it. I don't care. If it's not perfectly balanced, do it. I want it. Yeah, more complexity.
This way, we have in the Awakening the Machine activity in the Ringing Deeps, we have robots dropping heal packs.
Yeah, I know.
It could have a healing spec.
It can actually be a trinity,
totally have a
right?
healing spec,
This Tinker can be a trinket, can be tank, DPS, and
It
healer.
would have to be because right now there's a clear problem with tank and healer role representation, and bringing a new class that can do both will definitely revitalize the interest of players in playing those roles.
True.
And if you make a mech dude tank, you know boys and gals will be all up in that beeswax.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, fantasy-wise, it's gonna be top-notch, obviously.
Steampunky, WoW stuff,
And it makes so much sense with Undermine and going in cahoots with the goblins and stuff. It's like, come on, man, this is like the proper.
They showed a lot of goblins in mech suits in the cuts. Like they keep showing this. I didn't realize how often they were showing goblins in mech suits. Like this is the time. This is the time. This is literally what a mecha tank would look like. This is what a tinker tank would look like. This is the fantasy that I imagine it looking and being. So, I mean, it's already in the game. Look, all the animations are there. Everything's there. This one's even got an aggro stick. Look at that. When you press, your taunt button, imagine you taunt as a tinker and a little satellite or a speaker pops out with like a reverberation animation on it. How amazing that would be. How cool, man. There's so many cool animations that could come out of a tinker class. I'd be tempted to play one. I would never leave my human death knight, but man, I would just love seeing them.
Like, come on, man. This is like the proper
steampunk Iron Man suits. Yes.
Way to do it. Maybe they would also add the support role as well.
That's exactly what says in chat right now. It could be the
there you go. Yeah, there you go. So actually make some, man, that would mess up the balance.
They could be
so
a 4-spec.
Oh my god, like, can you
100%.
imagine having 2 support specs similar abilities?
I think that will actually improve the balance, because one of the biggest problem with augmentation being always the top in the meta is because it's the only support spec and you don't really have any other choice. You have to get that one. But if we have more, obviously you'll probably
spice it up, goddammit. Fuck it.
Maybe
they could be a support class too. Definitely dropping certain bots that buff certain things for the party. Yes, or they could have like you said, like druids, right, Joshua? They could have your tanking spec, your healing spec, then a range DPS spec, and a melee DPS spec. It's just infinite possibilities.
End game is you have to have a support and then fill in the rest, right? And maybe that's augmentation, or maybe that can be the tinker. Just saying.
A lot of possibilities with the Tinker class, man. Like I said before, if there was a time to do it, this is the time. If they're ever going to do it, this is when they're going to do it. And if it doesn't happen now, then I would say the dream is dead, boys, and we're never going to get Tinkers. But a nice video from Marcellian here.